people underestimate how difficult getting your first ever job can be. Me, however, I thought it had been a breeze, but that soon turned out not to be true. Getting my first job taught me a couple lessons about people I deal with in life and about hard work and ethic. It was my freshman year, about a month off summer, and I was enrolled in driver's ed, and so I was one step closer to getting my license. But with a driver's license, I need a car. So I asked my parents. I always thought they'd buy my car, because, you know, why not? And I asked my dad, I was like, what kind of car are you going to get me? He's like, I'm not buying your car. And at first I thought he was joking. I was like, okay, what kind of car? He's like, no, I had to work for my car when I was a kid, and you got to work for yours. So right there and then, I realized I needed a job. So I decided to start looking. It was a bit of a hard process, because I was young. Not a lot of places would really accept me. I applied just about every place in town. And, you know, weeks would go by, but I never get a response. And it was kind of frustrating, but also it wasn't really, because I didn't want to work. I liked not having a job and being able to sit back at home and not do anything. But one day I was driving into town with my dad, and we passed by Subway, and I saw a now hiring sign. And I was like, you know, that doesn't sound too bad. Free sandwiches, stuff like that. How hard can making a sandwich be? So I put in an application, and I actually got no response for like 3 weeks. I was like, okay, it's just another one of those no-goes. But one day I was sitting in Mr. Cole's class, and my phone started ringing. And at first I was like, who would be calling me right now? So I just ignored it because I was in the middle of class, and Mr. Cole's kind of strict on phones. And it rang again. And, you know, once again I ignored it, but it rang a third time. And I was like, they're ringing me a lot. Maybe I should answer it, but, you know, I never did. I checked after class, though. That was some weird, like, random unknown number. And I called it back, and, you know, they were like, hey, Subway, we want you to come in for an interview. And so I went in. My first day was pretty easy. Everyone was nice. Work was like, it wasn't busy at all. And I was like, I can do this every day. However, though, there came some personal struggles. With summer, my parents worked during the day and I worked during the day, and I couldn't really get a ride to work. And at this time I was like a really shy person. I was like scared to talk to anybody, and I was really scared to talk to like adults and ask them for a ride to work. So in my head, the best option was just to walk to work. And if you don't know, I live all the way like by Prairie Park, so it is a really long walk to Subway. And I would get in my Subway uniform and I'd walk, and sometimes it'd be like 90 degrees outside. And it would suck. You know, I made friends with some construction workers who'd be working on the side of the road. They were pretty chill, but eventually one day I was like, hey, I gotta like work up some confidence and actually say something, like ask for some rides. And so I got to work, you know, I prepped myself up, slapped myself on the cheeks. I was like, come on, all I gotta do is say, hey, can I get a ride? Like, it sounds dramatic, but at this time I was a really shy person. And I asked for a ride, and they're like, yeah. And I was taken aback, and it was like, all I had to do was ask, and it kind of taught me that I just gotta be a little more confident. The problem was money. At Subway, I only made $7.50 an hour at 15, and so that means in order to actually buy a car, I would need to work really, really long hours. So I would end up working 9 a.m. all the way to 9 p.m. And it would suck because I had never worked before. I didn't like working. And yeah, it was kind of tough. I also learned a couple lessons about people I meet in life. So there was a lot of mean people. Like, it was kind of crazy. I had never actually had someone like walk up to me and just be like a jerk for no reason. And people do that. It's like they wouldn't come for a sandwich. They just come to like crap on someone else. There was this one time. This guy walks in, and this is needed for context, but he was a bit of a rounder guy. Okay, that'll be important later. And he comes in, he wants a sandwich, and he's like, he was with my coworker. He was being a little mean, and he was yelling at him and stuff. And eventually, she flipped out, and she said, because he wanted double meat, and he didn't think he had enough meat. And so she flipped out, and she's like, "Sir, you don't look like you need any more food." And he flipped out. He made a ton of customers leave, and I realized then and there, sometimes, people are just gonna be jerks because there's a lot of type of those people. You just gotta be quiet, be the better person, Another thing was picking up the slack for other people. There was a lot of lazy coworkers, never really lasted long, but it always sucked, because I had to pick up the work for someone else. And I always complain a lot, like my other coworkers, but I realized, it just made work suck more. It didn't really make it better just sitting there complaining. So eventually I'd be like, all right, I got more work, oh well. I just gotta thug it out and work through it. But yeah, Subway taught me quite a few lessons. I'm glad I left, but I'm glad it taught me some great stuff. That was when I was at my best. That's my speech.